For this final sharing session, I decided that I wanted to do a video review on the film A Stray Cat Named Bob. When we first got the assignments to watch a movie and write about it, I picked a movie I already knew already, in War Horse, as it was a fairly popular movie directed by Steven Spielberg, who's known as one of the best directors today. Throughout this class, though, I kept hearing about a different movie by the name of Stray Cat Named Bob. All this talk got me interested. How has a lowly stray cat named Bob completely changed someone's life? And why is this movie used as a prime example of the human-animal bond? In order to answer these questions, I knew that I had to watch the movie and find out. First, I think it's important to understand the basic outline of what happens in the movie in order to really understand its impact. It all starts off by showing the protagonist, James Bowen, at his worst. He's a heroin addict who's on his last chance for rehabilitation. He's living on the streets, and his only source of revenue is playing music and hoping someone will give him enough money for dinner. After meeting with a friend, James overdoses, almost dying and ending up in a hospital. His social worker, Val, decides to give him one final opportunity to get his life on the right path. She sets up housing and methadone treatment for him on the promise he will stop using and regularly meet with her. It's here at this apartment that James meets Bob, a street cat that wandered in through an open window. James takes Bob to the sometime later, Bob returns, this time with a wound that will become infected if left untreated. James then takes Bob to the vet, but must use the last of his money in order for treatment for medications. After Bob recovers, he never leaves James's side and follows him everywhere James goes, including downtown, where James plays music. The addition of Bob proved to be hugely important for James, as the cat drew big crowds and James began getting more money than ever before. James and Bob became inseparable at this time. Even as things go wrong and the revenue stops coming in, the pair begins to run out of money. Bob really provides the strength for James to kick his drug addiction once and for all, allowing him to be a better man and fix his relationships with his loved ones. This movie is one of the best examples about how a seemingly small change in someone's life could completely change the trajectory of their future. If Bob the cat never came into James's life, it's unlikely he would have never gotten clean and changed his life for the better. It turns out that Bob was exactly what James needed at that stage of his life. He needed someone who cared for him, who didn't judge him, and who he didn't want to let down. It's clear that Bob's personality as a loving, loyal, and gentle companion pushed James to break through the barrier that is addiction, and give him confidence that in the end, he would be okay. The companionship that this street cat provided not only gave James comfort, but was also a large part in James being able to financially support himself. The fact that Bob loyally sat on or near James as he played was obviously a large part of the dramatic increase in success that James had as a musician. In all, Bob provided James with the comfort of a companion, the motivation to get better, and indirectly provided the money in order to accomplish that. There's not much more than one could want in a friend. One of the first thoughts that I had after finishing this movie was that I can now see why this story has been brought up multiple times while discussing the human-animal bond. It is one of the clearest examples about how animals can change the lives of their people. The bond that was shown between James and Bob was as strong, if not stronger, than any bond that two people could have together. Even though the two cannot communicate with words, they're inseparable, and James relies on Bob just as much as Bob relies on James. This bond did not just affect the two of them, however. Many people saw this bond at work when James was playing music with Bob on his shoulders. There's a clear recognition by the public, many of whom probably don't even have a pet at home, of the bond that the man and this animal have. This recognition led them to give more money to James and Bob, much more than when James played by himself. This is because they realized they were not just giving the money for one man. They gave the money to maintain the special bond that was present between Bob and his owner. In a way, the reason that people watched James and gave him more money when he was with Bob than without is the same reason that this story was made into a book and then a movie, and is the reason that we're now hearing about this story. It's because the bond between Bob and James is so remarkable, people have to pay attention. The fact that a cat is so attached to his owner, despite what both of them have gone through, makes their story truly special, and one which needs to be heard by every person who wants to see an excellent example of the human-animal bond's power to change lives. Thank you.